Hey guys, Matt LaRosier here with Firearms Policy Coalition, bringing you another weekly update, just to make sure you have all of the latest information on everything affecting your right to keep and bear arms. So let's get straight into it. Some good news about a case FPC is involved in a suit challenging Massachusetts' unconstitutional shuttering of gun shops. It was ordered that, for now, licensed dealers shall be permitted to conduct sales. The order does specify that it's by appointment only and that the shops must adhere to certain social distancing guidelines. The lawsuit was brought by individuals, retailers, and public interest organizations, including Firearms Policy Coalition, Second Amendment Foundation, and Commonwealth Second Amendment. Of course, this isn't the end of the case, it's only a preliminary injunction, but still, hopefully this relief means something for the good people of Massachusetts. I'm sure I'm not the first person you've heard talking about guns in the Supreme Court this week. It's been a bit of a news item. That said, with NSERPA off the docket, the court is mulling over 10 Second Amendment cases at conference. Here's a quick rundown of those 10 cases. Now, this doesn't mean they'll necessarily pick one of these, but this is what's up. Mance v. Barr comes from Texas, and it challenges federal restrictions on the out-of-state purchase of handguns. Pena v. Haran out of California is a case challenging the state's absolutely absurd microstamping requirement for all handguns developed post-2013. Two cases come from Massachusetts, Gould v. Lipson, which challenges the state's so-called may-issue permitting limitation, and Werman v. Healy, which challenges the Commonwealth's regulation of scary black rifles and ban on standard capacity magazine. There are three cases against the state of New Jersey, Rogers v. Gruel, Cheeseman v. Polito, and Kiolik v. New Jersey, all of which challenge the state's may-issue permitting scheme for carry licenses. Malpaso v. Pelosi covers the same may-issue problem, but in Maryland. The last two cases are from Illinois. Colt v. Raoul, which challenges the state's policy of only issuing out-of-state carry permits to residents of certain states, and Wilson v. Cook County, which challenges another one of those scary assault weapon and high-capacity magazine bans. You know, I'm just so annoyed with this. These guys don't understand. Real mags, they got curves. What are these tiny little straight ones they're trying to push on our people? Anyway, none of these cases have been picked up yet, but the High Court will be holding another conference on May 15th, so here's hoping. It seems like Republicans are coming out of the woodwork to make life more difficult for gun owners. With sales up almost 72% over last year for the last 2 months, some lawmakers want to play around with the NICS system. We've been doing videos on a handful of these proposals. It's just an interesting thing to see John Cornyn and Ted Cruz supporting boosting up background checks despite the fact that we've already got thousands of pages of federal gun laws. You'd think these so-called 2A supporters, one of whom was cooking bacon on an AR-15, would be at work trying to repeal some of the more ludicrous laws that we've already got, rather than slapping some more pages on top because, it's not that bad. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Your rights aren't safe no matter what party's in office. An unfortunate side effect of pandemics is the disruption of supply chains. Yeah, that means I had to wait way longer than usual for the cool torque wrench I ordered online, which I'm still a little sore about. What we're really seeing disrupted, though, is the country's meat supply. This has meant lots of gun owners head to the wild to grab some grub. We've seen surges in hunting permit applications in places like Indiana, where we saw a 28% increase in turkey licenses. Interesting stuff. You might remember a while back where 25 attorneys general, led by Washingtons, have been writing letters to the feds begging for more gun control. This time it's VAWA they're after. Don't let the name fool you, the Violence Against Women Reauthorization Act has nothing to do with protecting women. It's about expanding gun control in really weird ways. If you're curious about why this is a bad idea, be sure to check out our policy memo on the subject at fpcpolicy.org. The AG letter addressed to Senate leadership begs the federal government to reinstate the VAWA, including dramatically and vaguely expanding the scope of misdemeanor crimes that can result in a permanent loss of civil rights. Now, to put it shortly, misdemeanors are just straight up not appropriate for a permanent loss of civil rights. Misdemeanor defendants are often poor and get less serious treatment because it's just a misdemeanor. It also expands the definition of intimate partner to include people who do not live together and aren't even still in contact. This opens the scheme up to abuse, all while violating due process. If lawmakers were really concerned about reauthorizing VAWA, they wouldn't have stuffed it with so much irrelevant nonsense. Not only that, but lawmakers recently attempted to sneak it into a COVID stimulus bill. Boggles the mind, right? Look, they're trying to say this is just a reauthorization. It's not. Up until very recently, VAWA had no mentions of the word firearm. They are trying to sneak stuff in. Following a protest of Michigan's economic shutdown, state legislators are proposing that firearms carry be banned at the state capitol. We've also had the pleasure of witnessing the hypocrisy of State Rep. Sarah Anthony who brought in her own armed private security detail shortly after the protests. Or who knows, maybe she's had a change of heart and sees the benefits of bearing arms? Last Tuesday, New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan signed into law a fairly typical red flag bill. This time, there was a twist, though. After signing the bill, she made a warning to sheriffs. Either enforce this ineffective, immoral law that your people hate, or resign. Now, Lujan believes the red flag law will give police an urgently needed tool to deter deadly violence. Of course, as I've thoroughly covered, these laws do a lot more harm than good. So what caused the statement? Lujan is a bit chafed, it seems, by some sheriffs from mostly rural areas that rightly oppose the bill as a violation of the right to due process, free speech, and to bear arms. Shocked that an official might uphold their oath and refuse to enforce a constitutional law, Lujan remarked, if they really intend to do that, they should resign as law enforcement officers and leaders in that community. Now, it's probably no surprise that I disagree with Ms. Lujan here. I personally think we need more oath keepers leading communities all over the country. Well, that's all I've got for this week. If you'd like to see the weekly in its full glory, you can check it out on fpcnews.org, where we've got a write-up on all these stories with links. We've also got much more there than we were able to cover in this episode, so be sure to check it out. If you want to join the fight with us, go to fpcaction.org and take action. And if you think this work is important, you can support us there too. Every little bit makes a huge difference in this long and animated contest for our liberty. As always, keep your eyes on Firearms Policy Coalition, where we're keeping up the fight for all your rights all the time. I've been Matt LaRosiere, and I'll see you real soon.